Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Outside Insider podcast here on Philly Sports Network with myself, Liam Jenkins. You know the score by now. All things Eagles related, the last 7 days, neatly wrapped together, put into a package, signed by myself in some really poor British handwriting and sent all across the following platforms: to YouTube, to Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio. Where aren't we? Probably not many places. We're literally playing at Walmart at this very point, over the tannoy. Like, it's just been heard, I've heard from sources, that this podcast is played over the tannoy in Walmart. So if you're new around here and you're not yet subscribed on any of those platforms, just take a couple seconds out and do so, if you would be so kind. It would mean the absolute world to me. I know there are literally 1,000 of you or so now that listen to this podcast every week on YouTube. If you could just take 2 seconds, hit the link in the description, go to iTunes, hit subscribe, you never have to touch it again. Or, even better, leave a 5-star rating and write a review, because I don't have a review yet, and it's actually kind of heartbreaking. So please leave a little poem, that would be great. But honestly, where do we start? Like, where do we even start? It has been a crazy few days. The Eagles go and re-sign Richard Rodgers, which is a move that I've been pounding for quite some time. There was an article, actually several articles on Philly Sports Network doing just that. And then last night, the big news happens. The Eagles trade for Jordan Howard of the Chicago Bears. And that broke my heart, because just 2 weeks ago, I'd done a very in-depth film room piece on him. And now I want to do a very in-depth film room piece on him. And I've already done it. And that's a bit upsetting. So where do we begin? Like, it has been another wild week of Philadelphia Eagles news, and you don't know where to turn your head at times. Howie Roseman is just a god. But I think the only place we can start is with something that I put on Twitter recently, and it's a story that I hold very close to my heart. I need you to strap yourselves in for this one. If you've got a tissue, you may need it, because it's a tearjerker, I can promise you that. That when I was younger, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a really big thing in England, okay? Like a massive thing. Everyone had Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. And I had them, I never really cared about them until all my friends got them. And then they started getting deck boxes and the little slips you put the cards in. And again, I never really cared for that. I just took mine with me in my bag with an elastic band around them every day. And then I got a Blue Eyes White Dragon. And I was in love with it. And it was my favourite card. And I used to kind of flash it around and it'd move. And it was like 7 stars. And it was amazing. And I was obsessed with this card. And then one of the older kids in the year above me came up to me at the end of one lunchtime, just before the bell went to get back to class, and was adamant that all of these cards that he had were worth more than my Blue Eyes White Dragon. And I was getting a steal. He was like, take all of these. I've got all these cards. And I was like, oh my god, that's a lot of cards. What am I losing here? I mean, Blue Eyes White Dragon, Blue Eyes White cards. Give me them. So in I went. I took the cards. The bell went, and then I start going through them before I put them back in my bag. And it's just a bunch of Trap and Magic cards. And this older kid has run off with my Blue Eyes White Dragon for nothing. For absolutely nothing. And now I sit here heartbroken, upset, and reminiscing, because Howie Roseman was that kid at school. He just was, wasn't he? Like, there is no way around it. I thought a good analogy was me when I was going to secondary school and I was buying bacon rolls with my mum's money every day. Howie Roseman was the kid mugging everyone off for Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. The guy's a next level thief. Like, we should be informing the FBI at this point. He is literally robbed the Chicago Bears. Now, I know that there were rumours that the Bears were shopping Jordan Howard, that it would take a late round pick, and to be honest, the reason why that value was so low is that they know Jordan Howard, having already generated 3,370 yards in 3 years, okay, is gonna demand a big payday. The minute he hits free agency, he's gonna see nothing but dollar signs, and the Eagles are kind of trying to see anything but right now, as of most teams in the NFL, to be honest. And the Bears are thinking, well, hey, we've got Tariq Cohen kind of blowing up the entire league. Jordan Howard, I hate to say it, I said this in the film room, but there is a Jordan Howard in every draft. Especially this draft where you've got guys like Devin Singletary and David Montgomery, that it would not surprise me if the Bears are going, do you know what? Let's cash in right now. Let's get ourselves maybe a pick next year. And let's go and draft a Devin Singletary with that 4th round pick. Let's go and draft a David Montgomery and then get the pick back next year. I can see that being a mentality, and from a Bears perspective, I totally get it. I absolutely get it. However, depending on the strength of the running back class next year, at his very worst, Jordan Howard put up 900 yards. That was his worst career year in 3 years. And there was a lot that contributed to that, and I genuinely believe that the offensive line played a massive role, and you can see that in the film room on the YouTube channel, where I'd never seen him be swallowed up behind the line of scrimmage so much in my life. Like, it was constant, every single play. But the Bears were going to pay him $2 million. And you're telling me that's not worth a 900-yard season at a minimum? Or an average, even? Meanwhile, the Eagles, who, if we're really, really honest with ourselves here, have had a stagnant run game since 2016. Yes, they were third in the league in 2017. That dipped to 28th, which kind of shows my point that the same issues have been there. They were just kind of pasted over with a mid-season addition of Ajayi and the resurgence of Blunt and that sort of thing. The Eagles' offensive line last year accounted for 4.14 adjusted yards, which basically means they push the pile that far upfield, and then the running back has to do a little bit more, okay? That efficiency from the Eagles running backs last year was 4.12 yards, which means that the boys up front were blocking better than what the running backs could give. And I blame this on Josh Adams trying to bounce outside when he's being a north-south runner. I blame it on Wendell Smallwood having the spatial awareness of a sloth in a snowstorm. The sloth doesn't know where it is. I mean, it doesn't know where it is most of the time. It's bizarre. Then you've got Corey Clement, who obviously took a step back. Meanwhile, Jordan Howard last year added an extra 1.4 yards to anything that was blocked in front of him. Anything. And let's be honest, that wasn't a lot. And while Jordan Howard, yes, he does hit the edge on occasion, he can be used in the screen game and as a receiver, the man is just a north and south machine. And in the red zone, where the Eagles are absolutely keyed in as being such a focal point of their game, Howard scored almost as many red zone touchdowns as the entire Eagles backfield, despite nearly half the carries from inside the 20. That is mental. Like, the value that Jordan Howard has for 1 year at $2 million for a conditional pick, okay? And this is the best bit. Alright, I don't want to get too much into the fit of Jordan Howard or bore you with statistics and go, oh, he runs fast and he's very strong, because we know that, alright? We've seen the film rooms, we've read the articles, we've been watching the highlights, I'm sure. Do you know what the best bit is, okay? Since compensatory picks have been made tradable in 2017, Howie Roseman has been on a tear in trying to kind of stash as many as he can. And the best part of all of this is the Eagles traded a 6th round pick. Okay, a 6th round pick to the Chicago Bears. Do you know what they get if he leaves next year? A 4th. So, Howie Roseman has given away a 6th round pick for $2 million, which is literally the average of what he pays any running back at his position. Like, he does not pay running backs at all. It is all a committee-based effort, right? So he factors that into account. He gives away a 6th. He pays $2 million for a running back that has over 3,300 yards in 3 years in the NFL. That under the shotgun averaged 4.3 yards per carry last year, as opposed to 3.1 under centre. And then he gets back a 4th if he leaves. So Howard, going into his contract year, thinking dollar signs all around him, is going to ball out. Let's say he has a 1,000 yard season for the sake of this argument, which costs the Eagles a 6th round pick, $2 million. They lose Jordan Howard and they're thinking, oh, bloody hell, that's not gone well. I thought we were going to keep him for 5 years. Oh, no. Right, it's like J.J. all over again. Then they just get back a 4th round pick. Like, I can't imagine another situation where that makes any kind of financial sense. I can't imagine going into a bank and being, right, if I give you this £50, right, and you give me that packet of crisps, can I come back in a week and that £50 be £75? No. I mean, I love getting free pens from the banks. I don't know if you guys have it over there, but over here in England, like, if you go to a bank and they have all the little pens where you sign checks, you collect those, you stash them. They are like Yu-Gi-Oh cards themselves, alright? They are a commodity. And I'm telling you, you think bottle caps in Fallout games are a currency, just wait till Barclays pens come in. Or MasterCard pens come in, because I am ready for that apocalypse. But it just wouldn't work. Imagine going up to a friend, right, on a night out, and you just go to a bar, right, the two of you, not like that, well, maybe like that, who knows, depends how friendly you are, but your mates are at a bar, and you're like, don't worry lads, I'll get the first round in, okay, and you get them all a shot, a £1 or a $1 shot of whatever you want. Could be tequila, could be whiskey, could be Lambrini for Lambrini Liam, although you don't really do shots of Lambrini, but hey, you probably could do. You get it in, and then you're like, I'll do this round on the condition you buy me a round of vodka and cokes. All of you, a round of vodka and cokes. And they're going, well, but that is ridiculously more expensive. Like, why would you do that? And that happens. Like, no one would agree to that. That is next level wizardry by Howie Roseman, and I don't understand it. It is genuinely mind-boggling. If we're going to talk about Howard himself, I think it's clear to say that he is the Jay Ajayi of this year. That makes sense. On that note, that's really sad. Jay Ajayi put the little Instagram story up with a little peace out sign. That was upsetting. That got me in my feelings. He was British and so was I, and that's about as much as we've got in common, other than I have probably got a bigger vertical leap, but we'll get onto that actually a little bit later. There's another heartbreaking story. It's been a stressful few days. But Ajayi is more than likely out of the picture now. I know he went for a meeting with the Colts, and that's still in the air, and I don't really know how much that injury is going to hurt Ajayi now. Because going into his contract year, obviously it was assumed that he would ball out and signs with Rosenhaus Sports. And if there was one thing we've learned about Drew Rosenhaus after the Antonio Brown thing, I don't know. If I'm Jay Ajayi, I'm seeing that, and I wouldn't be the most confident ever. But, I mean, to be fair, he did sign a monster contract, so who knows. But Ajayi isn't going to return with the Eagles. Jordan Howard is now going to be, more than likely, your 3-down back. And while we are talking about a 3-down back, I give this guy mentions every time, and I don't know why I bother. I mean, we have got friends on this podcast, okay? We have got the guys at Art of the Take who mock my voice on a near weekly basis, alright? Lovely blokes. We've got Super ESP, Elliot Shaw Parks, friend of the pod now, comes on. We've got Mike, we've got a group of guys, we have Michael Lombardi, we've had so many people on. There's one man, though, on the evening show that works with Jack Fritz, and I love Jack, but Joe Giglio, alright, I mean, if we're going to talk about a man just trying to push it for clickbait, or trying to do a take for the sake of having a take, this is as close as you'll get, okay? Jordan Howard is a solid number 2 running back on a good team. Now go and draft a number 1 option. Like, you can't not laugh at that. What is that? Does he watch the game of football? What is that? That's not even a take. That's just mind-numbing. I don't even know. It's fiction. I've literally seen a better football take in The Hungry Caterpillar. Come on, Joe. I'm genuinely flummoxed. Jordan Howard is a number 2 running back. Now draft... Alright, what, so you want to draft Josh Jacobs and have Jordan Howard, and what, you want them both to run together? Should they share the ball, a hand on it each, and run through the tackles together? Like Mary Poppins? Is that what we're going to do? Oh, it's infuriating. Like, Jordan Howard is the most stereotypical 3-down back you could possibly imagine. An old school, gritty, downhill, not quite as elusive as some of the others, not quite as quick as some of the others, but a powerful, Batista-looking running back that is going to blow up through the tackles, that wants to get vertical, and that is his sole aim. That he's patient behind his blocks, he waits for the holes to open up, he's intelligent in space, and he's a very good pass protector. I don't know what more you want on a 3-down basis. To me, from here, you go out and you sign Darrell Henderson, you replace Wendell Smallwood. If you conveniently go to my mock draft where we trade Wendell Smallwood, you know, that would be a great fit. Almost perfect, almost like I've done that already. But I think that would be great. You've got Henderson then that is versatile, averaged over 8 yards per carry with Memphis. That would be the perfect stable. You've got Jordan Howard, Darrell Henderson, Maybe Corey Clement, maybe Josh Adams. I don't think Donnell Pumphrey is still in. Is Donnell Pumphrey still in his lab? Is he still tweeting about the lab? I've got a feeling he's still in the lab. I don't know why he's in the lab. Get out of the lab, alright? We're done now experimenting. You can't find what you're looking for. Stop breaking test tubes and go and do the thing. Oh, it's infuriating. But the whole running back position has been unstable for a while. And I think my other take on this would be that as impressive as this signing is, like, it's very hard to look at the Jordan Howard signing and see any immediate negative. Like, there is no drawback to this move. It's not Ronald Darby where I'm going to sit here for 20 minutes shouting it down. This is a move where it strengthens a position of need instantly with a guy that's an inside zone runner that has played inside zone at college, inside zone at the next level, and now will play, inside zone in Philadelphia, that has ran a system very similar to Doug Peterson's in Chicago, only the Bears' offensive linemen were atrocious, not athletic, and ended up kind of blowing up a lot of what Howard was trying to do. Because he doesn't have the acceleration to get to the line in time. He's a bit of a slow burner. So there's nothing I can say. I mean, you can look at any stat you want. Like, why were the Bears ready to part ways with him? It comes down to cashing in before he gets a monster contract. It's as simple as that to me. The fact that even on a down year where he's averaging under 4 yards per carry, he's still averaging over that out of the shotgun. That he adds to what the running backs or what the offensive line give him. That he dominates inside the red zone. That in short yardage situations... Oh, you thought I was done? You thought I was finished? Meek Mill, that was the most British. Imagine that. Imagine Meek Mill just walking out on stage and someone edits his microphone and he goes, hold on, wait a minute. You thought I was finished? That'd be good, wouldn't it? Let's do that. Anyway, short yardage situations, which is 3rd and 4th and 2 or fewer. Howard converted 74% of opportunities. 74%! That is sensual. Like, I am a little bit flustered. A little bit. Like, not properly flustered, but enough to get flustered. And that is huge. There is no immediate downside to this move. It strengthens the position of need. The only negative I can find, and it's even a push at this, if I'm honest. It's not quite Joe Giglio level of saying Jordan Howard is basically a tight end, which I'm pretty sure was the same level as that take. But I think that the one thing this Eagles backfield needs is stability, and it hasn't had it. In 2016, it was Ryan Matthews and Darren Sproles and Wendell Smallwood and Kenyon Barner. Lovely. That went well. They all got injured. I don't even know what happened there. Like, what Juice Staley was slipping into their vegetable stew every time at lunch? I have no idea. Maybe it was Juice Staley. Who knows? But then 2017, things picked up, but even that took a mid-season trade, and that player's not here anymore, and neither is LeGarrette Blount. So there's no long-term stability, and 2018 shows what happens when you have no stability, because it got to a point in pre-season where every other back not named Wendell Smallwood was injured, and somehow he couldn't even win a starting job. So, like, I don't know what to kind of view this as, because as amazing as it is that the Eagles have gone out of their way and found a running back that strengthens the team for next year, they're playing the compensatory pick game, I love that. We have to be aware a little bit because it is another 1-year deal. It's unlikely that he's going to return. And unless they draft or even double dip, like at this point I would say double dipping is even more likely. Because Wendell Smallwood's going to be entering the latter stages of his contract. Corey Clement will be 1 year behind. Josh Adams, who knows? There is no stability. There is no sense of, we're paying that guy $5 million. He'll be here 4 years. There was no free agent move. There was no trade that bought I guess long-term value. The only way the Eagles are going to find it is through the draft. And I think that, again, a guy like Darrell Henderson, a guy like maybe David Montgomery, a guy like maybe a Zegbo, who I know everyone is falling in love with at the minute, I think all of those guys could be perfect fits to come in and learn under Jordan Howard for a year. But if Jordan Howard goes and we go, but could you imagine next year, alright, if Wendell Smallwood gets extended and we have a backfield of, I don't know, Wendell Smallwood, Corey Clement, Josh Adams, like, it would be the same thing again. a second year in a row. Like, you can't repeat that pattern. It is too volatile. You have to add long-term stability, and it has to come through the draft. That's my only takeaway, my only negative draw with this move, and it's such a minor niggle. It's like when your girlfriend says, girlfriend, that's a good one. Anyway, says like... When your girlfriend says, it's fine, nothing's wrong, you go out and have fun with your friends. Go out and have fun with your friends. And you go out knowing fully well what's around the corner when you get home. And it is not a happy ending. I can tell you that from experience. So, the Eagles know what they're getting into. And unless they go on that night out and they bring her back a kebab and some flowers, it's not going to be a happy ending. They need to come back with an engagement ring or this running back problem that we see year after year where they don't run the ball early on, then they start running it, then it's inconsistent, then everyone gets injured, and then it finally clicks when there's literally no running backs left. That will continue to persist. So, for me, great. Jordan Howard's on board. Perfect addition. You could not draw up a more perfect running back to replace Jay Ajayi. Period. Full stop, exclamation mark, close bracket, open bracket, close bracket. But I do think there needs to be some added draft bulk. Some added fire, if you will. But I want to know what you think, guys. Again, if you're not subscribed already, please do hit that button. It would mean a lot to me. If you're not listening on iTunes, that's the way we need to get those reviews piping up. So if you haven't left a review on iTunes, leave 5 stars. Leave a comment saying, oh, Liam's got a whiny voice. Actually, don't leave a comment, because it's probably going to be something along the lines of what I heard on the train home today. As if, okay, the last 48 hours of my life have not been stressful enough. Where I'm now in a position... Now, we'll get to that in a bit, actually. But the Eagles signed Richard Rodgers. We haven't even got to that yet. Then the Eagles signed Jordan Howard after I just made a mock draft and posted it, which blew up. That was awesome. So thank you to everyone that's seen that. It's like midnight my time, so I was just about to go to bed, knowing I've got a day at work tomorrow. So then I write the article, I pass out, everything's fine. My train gets delayed to go to work the next day, and then, just when I'm getting home, I get on the train, thinking about the podcast, because I'm, pumped up for it, and a girl sits next to me. That's the end of the story, really. Ends there. Moving on. So the same girl sat next to me, and she's been, I would say, 2 trips in a row now. And both trips where she's conveniently sat down next to me, I've had a big shareable bag of they're called Aero Bubbles, that you can Google them. You probably don't have them in America. They're just big chocolate balls with mint in them, alright? They're glorious. Why don't you have them? I don't know. But they are incredible, right? So I had 2, this is a share bag. It says share bag. It's designed for more than one person. Not me. Well, I have got a big bulky frame. You've seen me. Right? I'm a Goliath. I'm a god amongst men. I need bulking. So I sit there, and she sits down looking at me and goes, and I'm like, why are you tutting? Is it because I haven't offered you? Because, 1, they are my shareable arrows, and if I wish to share them with you, I will. I will not share my arrows with someone that has such a slender grasp on manners. Okay, I sounded so posh then. Jesus. Okay, that was... Normally I'm sounding more American. That was a straight dive into British isms. So, that wasn't good. Anyway, I was a bit triggered by this. So I looked over to see if she was, making eye contact. And she was texting a guy called Tom. Tom was getting a slew of blue texts. And I was like, oh, she is in the doghouse here. Something has not gone well. And it turns out, okay, word for word, this is what she texted him. And I swear to God, I'm not making this up. I tweeted it earlier. Okay. It genuinely annoyed me. Boy next to me has a fat bag of chocolate, which is ironic because he looks like a lamppost. Looks like... What does that mean? I'm 6'3". I know I mentioned my 38.9 inch vertical, but leave me alone. There's no need for that, is there? Like, you're just attacking me now. What's the point in that? Come on. You're better than that. You are better than that. So as if that day wasn't stressful enough, I have to endure that. Okay, and then I get home, we start recording the podcast. I've been told a couple of little whispers in the last couple of weeks. Now we're going to get to that. That'll be the final topic, but there are some Eagles trade rumours you need to be aware. It's a Eagles trade rumour you need to be aware of. So keep your eyes peeled. But we're now 24 minutes in, and we have to take you to our favourite part of the show. But even before we get to that, okay, I was asking for questions earlier today. I was like, Eagles fans, it's podcast day. You know what to do. Flood my mentions at Liam Jenkins 21. And Mike Marich, who listens to this podcast quite regularly, I think. So a big shout to Mike. This is your big moment. Thank you for all your support. This whole LJ thing is getting a bit out of hand. There's a meme of the Peter cow, like the animal cruelty, like the cow, and it's holding a man, and the man is sucking on the cow's tit, right? And the cow is labelled LJ, the tit is labelled the outside insider, and he's labelled me as the old man. And I feel a bit... It's simultaneously the best and worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And that was submitted for a question. I don't know, Mike, how I can answer that, other than, wow. That was... I don't understand. But we're going to get on to thank you next, because you guys have been pouring in the questions over the last few days. So, without further ado, okay, we're going to get into it and answer a very important question, which is thank you next. At Cumbleton, so Johnny, a fellow Brit, has asked tomorrowness with a question mark, because I suddenly realised I made a typo in the tweet. So I don't know what tomorrowness means, but it's tomorrowness today. Enjoy tomorrowness. Thank you next. Chad, who has been a long time listener of this podcast, Chad Whitechurch says, who wins in a fight, Cameron Johnston or Fletcher Cox? So there's only one answer there. What do you mean? There's one answer, and it is Cameron Iron Leg Johnson, Thunder Thighs Johnston. The man is built, alright, like a cathedral. I've never seen anything like it. He genuinely could protect the Queen. It's mad. Like, I don't know what he is on, or what he's bulking, or why he needs that much upper body strength, but that man is playing offensive guard next season. So absolutely, Cameron Johnston all day, every day of the week. Thank you next, Will Roberts. Also on that note, Will, I will get to your email. Will asks, if you were Doug Peterson, what would your starting lineup be for 20... Oh my god, okay, right. Let's see if I go through the whole team. Carson Wentz, I won't do the entire running back, so Jordan Howard... then we're going to go Jason Peters. I'm going to throw a wild card here and say... Oh no, I can't do that anymore, can I? Isaac Seumalo, Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson. That one stays the same. Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun. The offense makes itself. Defense, we're going to have Fletcher Cox, Malik Jackson, Brandon Graham, Vinny Curry. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Derek Barnett still not starting. Fight me, see what happens. Linebackers, we're going to go with Nigel Bradham, David Long, shock, alright, West Virginia linebacker, Camu Gougier-Hill. Corners, we're going to go, I reckon, Ronald Darby, Jalen Mills, and Cravon LeBlanc in the slot, with safeties being Rodney McLeod, Malcolm Jenkins in the box, Andrew Sendejo, and then the third safety would be Avonte Maddox. So that's it. There's only one draftee in there, which is a little bit surprising. I think that's a testament to how well the Eagles have done recently. But thank you next. Dean Youngblood says, do you think there's a prospect the Eagles are in love with that they want to trade up for? I don't know about in love with. I know they like Christian Wilkins. I know that's one guy they're very keyed in on right now. I've got the Eagles taking him at pick 18 in my mock draft. You can watch that at our YouTube channel if you haven't already. That would be who I would say. Outside of that, obviously everyone's drawing Ed Oliver's attention, but I think he is so dominant right now that it's hard to really say, hey, the Eagles are going to go and get Ed Oliver, because he has just got so much attention. Thank you. Next, Ray McCabe. Hey LJ, do you think the Jordan Howard trade is the answer for the Birds at running back, or is more coming in the draft, free agency or trade? I think that it will be through the draft. They're going to look at a guy like, I'm praying it's Darrell Henderson. That would be the perfect fit in my opinion. So I'm going to go with Darrell Henderson being the icing on the cake, if you will. Thank you. Next, Mike is back again, but with an actual question and not a picture of an old man sucking a tit, saying that's him consuming the LJ podcast. Do you think the Eagles move up in the first round to grab somebody? I think they do, but that's just me. And again, I'd say it's Christian Wilkins. Ben Vega, thank you. Next, do you think there's a chance, not you Ben, you're asking me, that we still draft a running back in the second round? Yeah, I think that's been the theme of this podcast for sure. Hashtag Jamanda Strong at _DZ. Predict Carson Wentz's stats for next season. 35 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. What we're going to say yards. I mean, I'm trying to think of what's rational, because obviously not really got a lot to go off here, given that he's missed 2 seasons in a row. But I'm going to say maybe 5,000 yards, if that's not too bad, hopefully. I'll get it very high. I would say that. I mean, I don't know why he suddenly spiked up 7 interceptions, but, you know, he's also... I mean, I guess if he's missed half a season both times, that makes sense. All right, we'll do that. 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. We'll take one off. Thank you. Next, Phil Namath. What are the odds of Carson Wentz having an injury-free season? It's not something I think you can bet on. I'm a betting man. I would say it's around... I'd say probably about evens, do you know? If you're going to go genuine odds. Also, as a follow-up to you, draft a QB in 2020 if Wentz is injured again. If Wentz is injured again, you've got a very, very difficult conversation on your hands, because then that's 3 years in a row. There's only so much you can do in that situation. So I don't know. I think it would be a bit premature to say just yet, but I do think that would be a possibility. You've got guys like Tua coming out, but you don't really want to go through 2 franchise. Actually, maybe you do. The Eagles, I guess, could do with saving a whopping $30 million on a quarterback. So who knows? Maybe that will work out for the best. Probably not for the best, but it would work out. But thank you for your questions. If you don't follow me yet, at Liam Jenkins 21 is the place to go. And before we get to Richard Rodgers, and then a couple of soppy speeches and stuff, that I know this has been, 30 minutes in. Jordan Howard has really taken over this show. I did just want to touch on something that I've heard through the grapevine recently, and it's something that has actually picked up a bit of traction. This is where I need to sit in nice and tightly, alright, hands on your own thighs, okay, no one else's, unless you listen to this romantically. This could be a very sensual podcast, in which case, move that hand up, sunshine. Rasul Douglas. Now, I've said publicly for, I want to say a couple months on this very podcast, that Douglas was unhappy with what happened with the Derby sitting. I've spoken to Elliot Shaw-Parks about this as well. Where he was unhappy in 2017, where when Derby came back, Douglas was at the top of his game. Derby took a while to settle in, wasn't playing too great. There was a disgruntlement. The next year, when literally every cornerback ever gets injured, they'd rather bring in Dexter McDougal off the street, who hadn't played a snap in forever, than just move Rasul Douglas inside. Or Maddox inside and Douglas... I don't know. That was weird. So there's definitely a disagreement. And I think, to me, that's a little bit more political than we think. And I've spoken to a few people about this now. And there seems to be a consensus that a move would be... I wouldn't say appreciated by both sides. But both the player would be open to a move. The team certainly would be. And Mike Kay put up a fantastic article on NJ.com recently... stating that the Cleveland Browns are shopping Danny Shelton around. That could be a potential trade target. I think that's a likely deal. I do think Rasul Douglas does get moved this offseason. If he doesn't, I would be surprised, because the Eagles need to cash in. He's clearly not, unfortunately, in their long-term plans. I wish he was. I hope he is. I hope I'm wrong about this. But everything that I've been told has kind of led me to believe that they're just not seeing eye to eye. Like, there's a very different... If you look at how the fans view Douglas and how the team view Douglas, like, my Rasul season video of me sat in a nightclub, like, drinking every time he does something, that's my whole brand. I love Rasul Douglas, but I don't think many other people do, especially within the coaching staff. And it's not for the player that he is. He's a good player. I think there were some ruffled feathers on both sides of the mark that may have lingered a little bit. So there is definitely weight to the fact that Rasul Douglas could potentially be on the move. Now, I don't know ins and outs, or if he's being shopped around, or if he's on a trade block, or how much is being leaked, but don't be surprised. And you know the one guy it's going to come from, alright, and it'll be Jason Lackenfora, and he's going to put something out and go, oh, the Eagles have a quarterback, they might trade him, and they might not. And I'll be like, brilliant. Well, thanks, Jason. You've been top-notch once again. Really appreciate that. So, just keep on the lookout. Because if there are teams needing defensive backs, which there are a few, and they would rather kind of get a throw-in on a trade-up or a trade-down, I think Douglas could be a deal sweetener in a move that would send the Eagles either up the first round or down into a third, second-round pick, depending how they view this draft and what position they want to target. Don't write that off. Okay, you've had it, and again, it pains. I wouldn't say that, again, I'm not the sort of guy that goes out and just says stuff for the hell of it. There's a reason I kind of limit it to the podcast, because I know you guys are dedicated listeners. I thought you appreciate it more, and I'm not just going to put out a tweet that then blows up, because I've had that before. Like, I called the Vinny Curry contract extension the first time, like the big time extension, before he left Philadelphia to begin with, about a week in advance. I've had it where, I want to say a few months ago, there was something, and no one gave me credit, and ESPN suddenly got hold of it. I know, I told you before, didn't it? It was a guy out of Denver that wasn't Ben Albright. It was another, like, it was just a random radio guy that I literally never heard of in my life, that had just suddenly got this same information I had, and I was like, alright, okay, and then everyone quote tweets him, and it gets featured in ESPN and stuff, so I'm not going to be that guy. Like, I like knowing I have access to that sort of information. I'd rather share it in this vein, and hey, if it takes off somewhere, that's not why I'm doing it. A lot of information gets leaked to bigger reporters because of the platform, because they know that all eyes are going to be on it, and it drives up a market. That's why information gets out. That's why this whole, I guess, consensus of the Eagles being so aggressive on Tevin Coleman and with other guys, it wasn't there, because Tevin Coleman then settles for a deal that's far less. It's one of those issues where nothing gets out unless someone wants it out. Okay? And if I'm being told something in confidence, I'm not going to go and spill that and go, oh, well, according to a source, this is good. And it's not worth it. Like, you've got to be responsible with information, and I feel like so many people in the media either aren't or abuse that power. So I'm not doing that, but I do think there is legitimate weight to the fact that Rasul Douglas may not be here in a few months' time. And that's heartbreaking. I wouldn't say that as a big Rasul Douglas fan. I mean, there's about 9 videos, 27 podcasts, and about 67 articles of me defending him and advocating a move to safety. So I would be the last person to be pushing an agenda here. I just do think that it is likely, given that they're not on the same page, he's not viewed in the way that fans view him, and that there are going to be a couple of interested teams for a defensive back that has flashed in the way he has, with the length that he has, and at the age that he is. So just keep your eyes on that front over the next few weeks. And we're going to end it by talking about Richard Ruggiero. And this, for me, on a 2-year extension, is one of my favourite moves of the off-season. Because, as you know, if you've listened to this podcast for a while, my love for tight ends is like my love for the 1975. It is, it's all-encompassing. And the idea of 13 personnel gets me so weak, okay? It's not human. It just shouldn't be. And the Eagles missed that last year. Again, let me cast your mind back to week 1, week 2, and week 3, where the Richard Rodgers injury hurt. Dallas Goedert was sat on the sideline playing that Tetris Battle Royale game on Switch that looks kind of good, but also kind of bad, right? And then, somehow, on the field, you've got Zach Ertz, and someone getting experience over Dallas Goedert, who just wasn't really pulling his weight. I mean, Josh Perkins, somehow 57 yards against the Bucks. He had 67 on the season and caught 5. I don't know what he was doing against the Bucks, but fair play, Josh Perkins. I mean, what a game. But the Eagles really didn't have any bulk at tight end. Like, once Perkins started doing Perkins things, you literally just had Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, and that was it. And that 12 personnel, yay, and Dallas Goedert can run block now, and Zach Ertz is an all-star, and he's elite, and he's the best tight end in the NFL. Lovely, but you know what you missed? The Trey Burton of the group. You missed the Trey Burton of the group. And Richard Rodgers was kind of designed to be the Brent Selleck, while Trey Burton was going to be Dallas Goedert, and instead, Goedert had to become Dallas Goedert, in a way, and just kind of be this red zone monster that would just rip everyone to shreds. And now, with Richard Rodgers back, after losing him to injury last year, he played 3% of offensive snaps. 3%. They can do 13 personnel again. And just imagine, alright? I'm just going to put a dirty thought in your head to end this podcast. I'm not going to sit here and talk about, his 1,000 receiving yards in his career. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to talk about what he did in Green Bay. I'm not going to talk about the cap. I'm not even going to talk about what this means for Zach Ertz or Dallas Goedert. All I'm going to say, alright, this is ASMR level now. You've got an offensive line, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, Richard Rodgers, bunch formation, and a Jordan Howard run to the right. Oh, that's a bit good, isn't it? That's a bit filthy. Oh, take this podcast off YouTube. It's not family friendly anymore, is it? Oh, someone stop me. That's not... Great, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's been a little bit more serious to an extent, kind of, maybe, this week than it is normally. But we're going to be back to our usual bantering selves. It's been a crazy week of news. Thank you so much for all of the support. It has been a wild week. There's going to be some soppy stuff coming out where I can almost dedicate full time. Like, I'm almost at a position where I can quit my other job and just do Philly Sports Network full time. And that blows my mind. So thank you so much for all of the support you've given me, for the LJ comments, for the listens, for the views, for the reads, whatever it is. You guys mean the world to me. Like, I'm so blessed to have you guys as a following. It means everything to me, like, truly. So just thank you for sticking with me, for disagreeing with me, for agreeing with me, for everything. And even Mike, for that bizarre picture. From myself, Liam Jenkins, you can follow me at LiamJenkins21. Make sure you're hitting subscribe, rating 5 stars if you're on iTunes, please do. That would be amazing if you could. I would really love that. Like, even if you never listen to it again, that would be phenomenal. I will see you next time for another episode of The Outside Insider and plenty more content on Philly Sports Network.